Fuck you, nigga. Fuck me if I hated on you.
Yeah, what a way to start off a podcast with the nice soothing vocals of Frank Ocean. But that's not the theme of the podcast today. Today it is school. And I want to say for the record, I had to think about it because it's not really elementary school. It's mainly high school and up are the problem children. But I'm going to go through the whole experience nonetheless. I guess this might not be the same experience for you, but I'm going to just, do a quick run through and then focus on high school and college. So, elementary school, you weren't really being shaped or formed into anything, in my opinion. Like, it was just, like, free. You were learning your basic subjects, but it was, like, free thought. You get to play outside, you get to do fun things. You did science projects that were actually fun. And it was like there was no real concentrations on like fitting into any platforms, social rankings. In my opinion, I didn't really see that in elementary school. But moving on to middle school was a bitch. Jesus Christ. Middle school was like the start of trying to conformity, trying to fit into something that you didn't even really understand. Like, I didn't understand where the trends were coming from. I didn't understand why I wanted to wear certain things or why I had to have certain shoes. I have a memory that I hate so much. Jesus Christ. I had these felines. And I got roasted for them. I had to defend myself ferociously because I didn't just get roasted and sit there and well, come on guys, please, can you? No, I would talk shit back to you. But I had felines and they roasted them for being felines in 2012, 13, I don't know, whatever, 2011 maybe, I don't know. But fast forward a few years and felines are in, and that's just it made me realize man, fuck trying to fit in, because it's you just have to do you. But that was middle school. It was just filled with trying to fit in, trying to make friends. It was a lot of cliques in middle schools, just a bunch of BS, but it wasn't anything in terms of, besides the conformity, which was very socially constructed into groups and not really as a whole yet. It wasn't that bad, besides the roasting. And I'm not gonna go into it right now, but making fun of each other back then wasn't called bullying. It was just making fun of each other. I guess I could have considered it bullying because I was not as well off as most people, but at the same time, I was very verbally equipped to defend myself, and so I didn't call it bullying because I wasn't helpless. But we can go into that in another video. So now we arrive at high school, finally. The birthplace of insecurity, the birthplace of ideals that are not necessarily correct, unfortunately. Jesus Christ, where do I start? Let me give you the parameters of why I feel this way about high school in general. I'm sure it applies to most high schools, but mine specifically, because I went to a dual enrollment high school, they try to prepare you for college, and you're going to see why it fits into how I feel about school. And, for starters, in high school we had to wear uniforms with the blazers and everything, as if we were about to go work for a corporation at some bullshit. But we wore our uniforms. I hated it. I was like, for what? I don't plan to go work for anybody where I have to wear a uniform, so why do I have to wear it at school? It wasn't the most comfortable attire, but hey, we had casual Wednesday through Friday, which is basically a business casual, not regular casual. We can wear pants and actually get to be a kid, but Jesus Christ, high school was all about fitting in. It's nobody had their own identity. They were still suffering from wearing the same things as everybody else from middle school. That little trap, everybody was wearing Hollister and Abercrombie and Fitch, and I'm so glad people weren't wearing Gucci and those high-end things, because I, for the life of me, could not understand why regular black kids were wearing designer clothes as if they were a part of that culture, really. But it's not. Wear FUBU, because that makes more sense than wearing Gucci, because I don't even know who designs Gucci. Who are these people? Why? Who Hollister? I didn't even know that was California attire until recently, and it made me even more confused as to why people in Georgia were wearing it. I was confused, genuinely confused. people did not really have in high school. I felt it bred people pleasing was like the birthplace of that. Like people were too nice to want to piss off anybody. There was like girls who were like the cute girls. At my school wasn't too many of those, but you know, there were the cute girls. They were all clicked up, and Jesus Christ. I mean, as time went on, because we had a small school, it eventually leveled out where pretty much everybody knew everybody, but it was still very much clicked out. There were people who were like fake, who didn't like, they just didn't, they weren't genuine with their friendships, which isn't bad at the time, but you know, still. But what high school did basically is it prepared you for college, and it basically said you have to go this route because they didn't really push for anything outside of college. I think they made it known, but it wasn't the main focus. Like the main focus was like, okay, now you're in high school, you're going to college. That's what we're gonna put. That's what we're gonna put in front of you. College, 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 college. And then, you know, they might whisper it out the side of their mouths, or maybe the military. You know, like something slick, or maybe the military. I don't know. You know, maybe you can go to vocational school. Is that vocational school? Whatever you do for plumbing and HVAC. I don't know if they mentioned that, but it was like such a strong push, and it was like, is there anything else I could do, perhaps, if I didn't want to go to college? You know, maybe I didn't like being in school for the first 12 plus years. It was K through 12. Maybe it's more than I'm tripping, but you know what I mean. Like maybe I didn't want to do that. Are there other options? And there weren't. And I get to college, you know, in Miami at this time, my mindset when I got to college was like, okay, I want to do good. I'm gonna use this college experience to push myself forward so I can be rich in life, because that was my goal. Like I just want to be rich. I just want money so I don't have to work for you guys all my life. I get to college. Oh, Jesus Christ. We had like an assembly, right? We had an assembly and they were talking about college, and what did I do? I think I questioned them. I was like, how come you guys don't push people to be entrepreneurs or push people to be more independent and not actually have to work for your corporations? And like they were just giving me the runaround. It's like, well, you know, you have to get your degree, and once you get your degree, you know, and I'm like, I don't know. Do you? And they didn't. And then I was like, it was like a back and forth, and it was like, why am I here? Like that was like what I was getting. I was like, why am I here? Because they don't seem to know why or how they can help. And it's like, I'm asking you a question of, is there a way I can like use this better outside of working for somebody? And it's like, they don't have the answers. There are people who are like successful, who like entrepreneurs who came to speak to us. And I would ask them that. I was like, yo, can I just like work? I mean, I guess I shouldn't have asked, but I was like, can I just like work for you? Or do you have any tips on how I can start my own business so I won't have to go through this? And it was like, you know, well, first you have to get your degree. And I was like, what the huh? First I have to get my degree? And like that pretty much, like I still try to stay positive for like the first year and a half of college. But after that, it was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, why am I here? And I realized, like, as more time went on in college, I didn't know why I was there. I was pretty much just, you know, going with the motions. Like, that was the next logical step to go to high school. Okay, now I'm in college. Didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what major I should be in to get to my goals. And so I just took a year off. But, like, that was the whole thing. It's like they want you to follow this path, even if it leads off a cliff. And I was like, Jesus Christ, like does nobody question it? And I took a semester off, right? I took a semester, I think those are fireworks. If you hear it in the microphone, just ignore it. But I took a semester off. I was like, okay, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna make some money, because I was tired of going to school and working and not really knowing what I was working towards. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just see where this takes me. I got pushback from every direction possible. My family said, what are you doing, you know? Why don't you just finish school? My girlfriend's parents, you know, maybe you should just, you know, just get it out the way, man. My auntie, hey, nephew, what are you doing? You know, it's just only a few more years, right? Didn't you do dual enrollment? It's only everybody was like pushback, 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 pushback. And this was weird to me because prior to this point, I was always told, yo, you can do whatever you want to in life. You can accomplish this. All you have to do is put your mind to it. You can accomplish that. All you have to do is put your mind to it. So I was like, what happened to like that same motivation? Like, why couldn't when I dropped school, you guys said, you know what, you're gonna figure it out. You just got to keep at it. Make sure you're being focused and disciplined, and whatever you do, and stick to it. Nobody said that, and it also made me realize that the same way they push college on you, they don't push anything else. Like, they don't encourage you to be an entrepreneur the same way. They don't encourage you to invest in assets or real estate or even the stock market, which is risky, but that's where I'm going. But still, they didn't push any of that. And it's like, I came to a point where I had to realize that people, one, in the pursuit of happiness, I love what Will Smith had said to his son when they were playing basketball. And he was like, yeah, you might not be too good at basketball because, I wasn't that good. So you can do anything else, but just don't do basketball. And the son was like, fuck it, I'm not going to try at all. And so he had to tell his son, he's like, look, don't let nobody tell you what you can be or what you can't be just because they weren't able to do it in their lives. And I had to look at it that same way because, like, all you know is what you know, period. So if you telling me to do this because this is what I think. They tell me to stay in school because they have a fear that I won't make it if I stray away from that path, because it's not a worn path that's been traveled by a lot of people. So if I tell you, look, I'm going to just be in the stock market, they say, well, can't you lose all your money in the stock market? Well, what happens if you lose all your money? And it's like, that's fine. That's like a part of life. Like, if I lose my money, I try again. That's all I could tell you. Like, I try again, but I'm going to keep going at it until I fail, because this is a path that I chose and I accept all consequences that come with it. But it's like, they just kept, they kept voicing their insecurities. But it was weird because nobody does that with college. Like, what if, like say you choose a worthless degree. Let's be honest. A lot of degrees are worthless. They don't really, I guess if you want to feel fulfilled or you have a passion for it, that's cool. But like, a lot of them won't really pay you anything when you get out of college. And, if you do hit hard times and you can't find a job in that field, what are you going to do? Or your job becomes obsolete, what are you going to do? But nobody really says that. Like, nobody says, they do say computer science. They kind of push for computer science and STEM majors. But everything outside of that, like, they'll let you do it. That's more money in their pockets. And it's like, come on, guys. Like, why do you limit my generation? Because you don't understand it. And that's what I realized while I was doing research to become a day trader in the stock market. People would question me and I would question them back. Like, I would gain confidence. I would question them back. And I would ask them, like, how do you know? And I would break down to them how you could make money by managing your risk. And they would be like, well, I didn't know that. And it's like, yeah, you didn't, because you didn't try it. So how can you not be skilled? How can you not be skilled in the area but tell me I can't do it? In order to give me advice like that, you'd have to have tried every path in life at least once. And I'm talking about, like, with full force, in order to tell me that you probably shouldn't be doing that, because I tried my absolute best. Because I respect that more than you saying, well, I'm pretty intuitive, so I can see what this path is going to lead to, because that's a whole different. That's very much speculative. Like, like, what is this based off of? What is this, a hypothesis? This is an experiment? Like, let me choose, because at least if I choose, I'm gonna have to be the one that deals with it. Because if you choose for me and I go to your path, are you going to be responsible for the income that you said I would receive if I went down this path? Are you going to be responsible if I get laid off? Are you going to pay my bills for me? Because you're not. So I'm going to have to be the one who lives with the consequences of whatever path I choose. So at least let me choose my path. Even if it leads straight to hell, let me choose that way. And it's like, people don't seem like Jesus Christ, everybody from every angle, friends, families, associates, co-workers, family, associates, co-workers, like, every angle, there was pushback. And the crazy thing about the pushback is, even if you break down how a plan can work, like, if you had a business genius idea, there's going to be pushback until you can produce results. And those results might not come for a few months, maybe even a few years. And it's like, you have to battle all that negative pushback until you produce results, until you get to a point where it's like, where you're like, your bills are taken care of, you have a house, you have a car. It's, not saying that's like the pinnacle of you being well off, but you're pretty much taking care of yourself to the point where they can't really say anything, because they're going to say, well, like, what can they say at that point? They can't still say, well, you sure that's going to work? It has. I plan to continue moving forward, regardless of the economic cycles, regardless of hard times, hardships, regardless of anything that might, befall upon me. I'm going to continue. And I just feel like it's outdated. It's outdated. College doesn't push you to be anything outside of a worker. High school doesn't push you to be anything outside of a college student. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, it's like you're being pushed out of a factory. I feel like I was being pushed out of a factory ever since I put that uniform on for the first day of high school. I detested it. Like, I promised myself, like, I'm not gonna end up in a career where I have to work for somebody. Like, I refuse to work 45 years for anybody. I refuse to have to rely on you for retirement. I refuse. Like, I don't care. And when people ask me, like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm going to do this, and I'll either be homeless or rich. I mean, I could be in the middle, well off, but, like, I'm not going to. It's like, and I say either homeless or rich because I'm not going to stop. I'm going to pick something that has the potential to make me rich or homeless, and I'm not going to stop even if I'm homeless. So you might check me on a point in time, like 2-3 years into the future, I might be homeless, but I'll still be doing what I, said I was going to do until the day I die. Like, that's what's like, you think just because I'll fall on hard times that I'm going to stop pursuing what I want to pursue, but I'm not. It's until I die, honestly. And so, that's just my whole, I don't want to say dislike, but I can't really think of any other words. But that's why I don't really like, the school system. I don't like the curriculum. We can get into curriculum too while we're at it. Jesus, a lot of the subjects that they teach don't really matter, and they don't focus on the right things. Like, I don't know why people come out of high school or into high school not knowing how to read. Like, when they read aloud and they talk like this and with this word, like, I don't know why they do that. Like, I think being able to read for comprehension is very important. I think critical thinking is very important. I think they should encourage innovation, creativity. They should encourage those things and not make me learn about, like, BS that I'm just going to learn to get a grade, because that's not really effective. I mean, if anything, the things I learned from college was how I learn, one, how to study so I can learn, two, and how to read. Honestly, that was all. Like, the things that I use now were like mainly learned in elementary school, like the basic mathematic, arithmetic, reading, writing, and maybe like a few things in terms of organization of my writing. Like, that's it. I haven't learned anything else outside of that. That was like monumental to my development as a person. Like, even now, like, I don't go to I don't, do complex math problems in my spare time. I don't really think I can make money doing that. It's possible, but for me personally, I don't think I would do that. Outside of, like, not even, I wouldn't even be a tutor and use that, like, for what? If I don't believe in it, why would I tutor you to nah. And so, it's just, I don't know, like, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me, especially when there's so many things that you don't know coming out of high school and college. Like, I used to be like insecure when my friends would have degrees around me, but it's like, what am I insecure about? Because they're not on any, like, they're not on a pedestal in my eyes. They're not any further ahead in life. They don't have a better understanding or grip on life. They've kind of been in it, and this is what I see college as a way to coast. Also, you get to coast for 4 more years, because while I was in college, I wasn't asked to do anything. Like, and when I say anything, it's like when people ask you, "Hey, what are you doing in life right now? Like, what do you do?" And I say, "Well, I'm a college student," and that would be enough. Telling them that I study in a school for a few hours a day was enough for them, which was the dumbest shit ever, because that's not anything real. It's not like A better answer would be I'm a college student and I internship at X corporation because at least you're doing something that'll attribute to your career. But to say you're a college student in and of itself is not really saying much. That's like somebody that's like me because people would question me if I told them this. They say, "What do you do?" And I say, "Well, I go to the library and study sometimes. I do independent studies with the resources I have available." And that they look at me like, okay, but what do you do?" And it's like it's the same thing, but one's independent and one you pay thousands of dollars for to be guided. And it's good sometimes to have a guided teacher, but at the end of the day, it's not really much. And that's another thing about college, and which is this is why I think it's necessary for some majors in terms of being like a lawyer or a doctor. People won't study. If people are left to their own devices, they won't study at all. So like that's what I think college. The one thing college is useful for in those occupations is like forcing them to follow a path because I highly doubt that they can do it independently in terms of like you had a curriculum that you had like if you want to work at a specific hospital they would say okay, here's a test you got to take. This test is probably going to take 2 to 3 years of studying intensely or 4 to 8 years of studying leisurely. As long as you pass this test, you will become a doctor. And it's like a full comprehensive test where you like a written test, an actual application test where you perform a surgery. This wouldn't be real, but I'm just giving an example. And at the end of it, you pass or you fail. People will not take time out their schedule to actually sit down and teach themselves. They'll actually go and get distracted by any old thing, and they'll half-ass it in a test that should have taken them 4 to 8 years at the most to take will probably end up taking 15 to 20 years. So I'm not mad at college for organizing people's lives because that's a plus. I think college does do that. But outside of college, you have no discipline whatsoever unless you like have a major where like you're just working, working, working. You don't have any discipline. And I would even say people who are doctors don't really have discipline. I think they just work so often that they have no choice but to concentrate on the work. Outside of that, like what you do, you get content with just doing your job and slacking off in your free time because that's what school is. You do your job, you study, in your free time you slack off or you procrastinate. It's all like negative habits you're picking up from school. But it's just like I wish people would look at things for face value. Like you don't if people should tell you, okay, look, I'm gonna sit you down right here, right? If you don't want to go to college, I'm not gonna force you to. I'm not gonna look at you crazy, but I will tell you this: whatever you do, give it 100%. 100%. That means you shouldn't be staying in bed until 12, 1 o'clock. You shouldn't be watching YouTube videos all day. Like you shouldn't have a 4 hour YouTube session. You shouldn't have a 3 hour Instagram scrolling session. Like give it your all. Like actually, actually like put time into it. Cause I like this, and this is what I'm gonna end off with. Right? I'm gonna end with this. If you took those 4 years you spent getting your bachelor's degree and put it in any area, well, not inside any area, but most areas. Okay, I'm gonna use the stock market because that's what I'm doing. If I spent 4 years just strictly researching and doing practice and mock, I guess mock trades in the stock market. If I spent 4 years doing that, I would master it. Like I would have it mastered. Like if I could do that and not have to worry and only have to work on the side, and I would have what's college like 4 to 5 hours. Let me say 6 to 7 hours out the week just devoted to studying the stock market every week for 4 years. I would master it and just have the discipline enough to keep yourself in line or set times apart every day. You would master it. So keep that in mind. Like when you, if you do this and you decide to stray away from college, like keep that in mind. Like you can't just stray away because then you end up in a trap of working a dead end job. And it's only a dead end job if you have a dead end mentality. I should add that too. because you can take any job and flip it. If you look at your job as a way to build capital and not a way to pay bills, then you could, you can elevate to like a different level with whatever endeavor you decide to take on. But you have to have that mind state. But just give everything, like, even if you don't have that mind state, at least have that hard work mind state where you give everything you have to the job, to the point where you're like the fucking, either the CEO or right under it, or the closest you can get to it. Like, just go 100%. 100%. But this is it for this podcast. On the next one, I'll probably talk about either like the social structures, not the social structures, the social contracts. I might talk about the social contracts. I'm gonna do that. Not maybe. All right. So social contracts and outro music. Something I can sing along to in the background. Yeah. All right. Deuces.
Random disclaimer. Hey, don't do anything that I say in this song, okay? It's fiction. If anything happens, don't blame me. White America. Bill O'Reilly. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just that last thing. Don't kill anybody or burn shit. But school. Just do what makes you happy. It makes you money.